like that. Onsi.
Do you have a clicker?
No, you have to just hit like spacebar. Sorry, dude.
Yeah, it's fine. So, thanks for having me. Thanks to all the sponsors. Thanks to Gretz. Thanks to the water. I come from Charleston, West Virginia, the place where we don't have water. It's tainted. Probably going to give me superpowers, I'm hoping. But so far, I'm still trying to throw the spider web. It's not working at all. So this is kind of a boring title. Also, I don't want to preach to the choir, so I will do my best not to preach to the choir. So I have some notes here. Somebody's phone number. Hang on a second. No. Okay. No, that's somebody's phone number. Anyway, we'll just go without notes. So I'm a hacker, and you probably are a hacker too. So why are you out buying security awareness material when you can build your own for no money and for people you're actually trying to target? So I'm a hacker, and that's the reason I'm at this conference. Is anyone else here a hacker? Okay, good. So, as far as I know. I'm co-founder of HackerCon, so I have to be a hacker. Hackers for Charity is near and dear to my heart, so come by the Hackers for Charity booth and buy some stuff. President of AID, which is this boring conference we give at Marshall University, so come. No, it's actually pretty exciting. It's in April, releasing the call for papers here shortly, and I run my own security company. I'm a founding member of the Security Awareness Training Framework. This is the URL. Go check it out if you want to. So I developed this pyramid security, the pyramid of security, with Frank Hackett, who is not here because apparently he's still parking the car. So you have to start a policy. That's the foundations. You have to tell your users what is expected of them and what is going to happen to them if they don't follow the policy. And then next is user awareness training. Now, a lot of people say user awareness training doesn't work. And they're right. That's the reason that even though we have blinky light boxes, spend a lot of money on products, and what's happening is that most attacks are social engineering attacks. So the only defense against that is to train your users. So this is a really dark slide. That was not intentional. This is going to be really interesting. This is going to be a really interesting presentation. So you are hackers. You're into like dark backgrounds and light text. And cyber. Oh, that's some great water. Woo! Glad I'm not driving or walking. So this is my definition, which is it's a formal program with the goal of training users for potential threats of organization, blah, blah, blah. You tell I'm a college professor, right? So that is how I operationalize what it is. A formalized program to help you teach your users what not to do, as well as what to do, and it's part of your risk management outlook as well. Security weakest link, and not all attacks are technical, of course. So what if I told you that your best antivirus is your brain? So basically, your best antivirus are your users. So the first thing you need to do is get management buy-in, develop policies, enforce policies. Policies that aren't enforced are as good as no policy at all. You also need to talk to your HR people, because the HR people are really the people who are controlling the whole policy genre. Usually they're the people who's doing your information security awareness training, which is something I'm going to point out that's probably not the best thing in the world. Monkeys could probably do a better job. And it's not because they're not trying. It's that they're not really the proper person to talk about things like awareness training and what can happen to you when bad things happen, other than you're going to get fired or suspended. The whole idea behind getting management buy-in is just to show them that beyond policy enforcement, you know, I had bosses who said, I know you are screwing around on the internet. Get me some proof. Now, that's an interesting way to approach it. In the end, it becomes sort of carrot and stick. You can get somebody in trouble, but yeah, you can also help enforce the users from not doing things they shouldn't be doing. Cost savings, if you don't have incidents, you're not spending as much money on incident response or cleaning up after an incident. You're not paying fines for the HIPAA people. You're not having to engage in the state breach notification processes, and increase in production. If your computer's not always down because it's got a virus, or your computer's not always down because it's part of a botnet, you tend to get more work done. So, targeting. One size did not fit all. I've worked for lawyers for 20 years, so I know a lot about security awareness for lawyers. So I try to target to them specifically. Same thing, if you're an organization that's primarily doctors, you try to target it toward doctors. If you're an organization full of hackers, you try to target it for hackers. So the idea is to make it targeted. We're really talking about developing a culture or a internal marketing program to help people help you do your job. People on the road don't have the same needs or exposures as people in the mailroom. You know, the mailroom guys are not going to be taking laptops out on the road. Generally, the mailroom guys are probably just checking their email anyway. They're not going to have the exposures on the web. Don't forget the IT department. Because you work in IT does not mean you know squat about security. Believe me. Different users encounter different risk, and different users are different. They have different levels of education. There are people who may not have anything more than a high school diploma, or they may not even have that. Most of them are going to read a 6th grade reading level. So they're going to be a lot different than when you're trying to do security awareness for a lawyer. If you're talking to a professional, you're going to have to try to engage them on their level and on their terms. So how often? New employees, once a year, quarterly. All that's good and great. Start out with once a year. Start out when people come into the organization. This should be continual. You should have to develop basically a social engineering campaign to make your users defend themselves against social engineering. You're basically fighting fire with fire. You trick them into being safe. I've seen some really good campaigns that were developed internally that do a good job of this. And that includes things like changing their desktop background, that sort of thing. But you have to make it a continual message. You just can't do it once a year. You can't do it whenever somebody comes. They need to have continual training. It also must be engaging. I'm not going to mention specific vendors, but there are people who sell security awareness programs for a lot of money. That are the most boring-ass things I've ever seen in my life. I just wanted to type too long, didn't read. There's also programs that will basically be online. Well, how exciting is that? Most of the time, the users will skip to the end and try to start guessing at the questions. You know, they've got 1 in 4 chance, so they just keep taking the test until they pass. They've actually learned nothing from the actual program itself. Poorly written and canned security awareness programs are no better than a blinky light box. You put it in your environment, and it's supposed to be doing something really cool, when in actuality it's doing nothing. Personalize your training. Training should be personalized. It should be in person. And it should be given by the HR director. It should be given by somebody who understands what the hell they're talking about, number one, but can also talk about, the important thing is talk about risk. No one thinks they're at risk. Your HR director can't talk about risk in the ways that you can talk about risk. And once again, you're all hackers. If you wanted something cool written or some sort of feature in a program, what are people going to say to you? Write it yourself. You want a cool information security program? Write it yourself. It costs no money. It'll take a little bit of time, but you also know your users are the best. I don't know your users. You know your users. And the first step is explaining risk. And unfortunately, we're back to talking about regulatory stuff, which sucks because we all know that being HIPAA compliant or PCI compliant does not make you secure as target. Talk about breach notification laws. Well, unfortunately, you have to scare them to death usually. And one of the things that I do is I talk about breaches in the specific industry that I'm addressing at that moment. So if I'm talking to accountants, I talk about accounting breaches, and God knows there are breaches galore. So there's easy to go find examples on the internet by simply just looking at Google. Some people don't understand that there are regulatory requirements. Some people don't understand what policies or what regulatory requirements they might have. I mean, that's part of the problem too. And at least if you can get them scared by regulation, you start moving them up the scale of being more secure. There's no such thing as totally secure. It's a process. This is a process like anything else.
Isn't this the thing you're supposed to scare management with so they can scare the users?
Exactly. You scare management and then they scare the users because they sign the paychecks. So we talk about motivation of attackers, and we all know motivations of attackers. And of course, there's money, industrial espionage, steal the secret formula for Coke, hacktivism, and cyber war. Cyber? What? Oh, that water burns. Oh. I hope my doctor isn't watching this. I'm not supposed to drink. I'm not supposed to do a lot of things, so. And then bragging rights, you know, you do it, say, this is really cool. What? It's 12, this says 12.
That's like several times. Read the whole slide.
You can tell I'm a college professor, right? Sorry. I've worked on that as best as I could. Cost of data breaches, one of the things you can do and scare them is talk about the cost of data breaches. Napoleon Institute does a very good job of that. Brandon Miller and I did a talk similar to this at DerbyCon 2 years ago. There's your shout out, Brandon. And actually, this is a great place to go look at the cost of breaches. And then there's the different threats you can scare them with. I use these. Of course, there's Chinese cyber hackers who produce APT. So you have to give them some examples. You know, Russian business network, bad guys. Chinese hackers, bad guys. Hacktivists are our friends. I love you all in Anonymous. Please stay away from my data. And of course, cyber war. That's a drink for all of you. You read the damn slide. Oh, this water's great. So most attacks are targeted. They're going to target people based upon what they do. So here's an attack targeting lawyers. This is the big scary lawyer example, and then there's this example where they basically just didn't deface the website. They stole all the frickin' email. That will really get a lawyer's attention because lawyers practice law via email nowadays. Here's some of the actual email. Thank you, Pastebin, for preserving this forever. And of course, the FBI has released a number of warnings that if you're a public relations firm or you're a lawyer, you're being targeted. And you're being targeted because criminals think you have money, because you have nice clothes, nice house, nice office. And of course, if you saw the student loan debt of most lawyers, you wouldn't think they had money, especially young lawyers. Here, damn it, it was China. Is there anyone from Mandiant here? Sorry. Do you have to say Mandiant after drink? Fire ant, excuse me. Fire ant. I like that. But, you know, that is, especially in the case of intellectual property, that's something you can scare them with. And then most of the times, people will have intellectual property they don't even know about. In the case of lawyers, they're like, it's nothing. I'm like, you realize you have every client that you have their intellectual property. You got it through discovery. You're supposed to be guarding it. And if I'm a Chinese hacker and I'm launching a cyber attack, APT cyber attack to the cloud, what will happen is, damn, I don't know what I was talking about now. Woo, I feel like fire is coming out of my mouth. So you've got all these things you don't think about, but you're a juicy target because you're not thinking about security. So security awareness is the first step down that path. So who's responsible for security? And you have to tell your users, you're responsible for security. You can't sit around looking over their shoulder. You can't stop them from clicking on shit. Thank you, thank you, Boris Sverdlik, who is not here, but I'll be paying him by a check. You got to educate your users and tell them what they need to do. I'm going to show you the worst password policy in the world. This is the worst password policy in the world. This is pretty standard. Have a password policy, but good Lord, don't use this one. Go out and look at Martin Bowe's Pure Hate's research on passwords. You know, we're talking about 14 to 16 characters now. I say use passphrases if you can't remember passwords. I'm actually writing a book on this with my co-author Valerie Thomas. Where are you, Valerie? Over here. Hey, what's up? She says use password vaults. Cyber. You cyber bastards over there drink. So I'm not a fan of password vaults, but passphrases are great. Lock your computer. I actually made this nice little card for my users before I left my last job. They loved me. They loved me. They were like, he's like, he did it again. I'm like, lock your damn computer. So that's an example of trying to build a culture of do what the hell I tell you to do. Boy, I've drank too much water at this point. So attachments, don't open them. Phishing. This is all the stuff that we know, but this is not the stuff our users know. Where does this QR code go? It is Satan. Where does that short link go? We click on them all the time. Even we click on these things all the time. That's 127.0.0.1. But how the hell are you going to be able to tell that? There's no place like home.
Don't click shit.
My God, Boris is here. Oh God, Jack's got something he's going to throw at me. Oh, good! Replacement water. I might just drink water out of the bottle. Gotta keep hydrated.
Man up and drink some.
Oh my God, is that moonshine?
No. It's just some nice, smooth, dark rum. Don't take a big pull. Do not take a big pull.
I don't want to go to the hospital. Woo! Sand sanitizer. I mean, sand sanitizer. What does it say? Oh my God, 18 minutes. I gotta speed it up. Social engineering. No, social engineering is definitely a threat. Social engineer your users to be more secure. No tech hacking. Johnny Long is in the house. Is Johnny Long in the house? He's probably at dinner. Darn you, Johnny. He wrote a great book on no tech hacking. It's something that most people don't think about when they're doing security awareness training. But, you know, shoulder surfing, dumpster diving, all of that comes into play. We actually, what? Dude, I've got 19 minutes, 28 seconds. God. Third-party software is very dangerous. This is also adware, spyware, very dangerous. Put NSA at the top of this slide. Web attacks are very dangerous. There's a lot of, I'm very dehydrated. Can we get this IV, perhaps? Example of web attacks. These are two against lawyers that I use to scare them with. I'm almost done, I swear to God. This is an example of a web attack that I took a leak in the data leakage.
Please not on the podium.
It's got to come out some way. Most people, when they talk about security awareness, are not thinking about metadata. Of course, you've got that comes into play, and lawyers love to use things like track changes. So make sure they understand the risk before they start using these features. So SharePoint, that's another one. Metrics, help desk tickets, user questions, downtime. If you want to contact me, contact Dave Marcus, and he will let you know how to get a hold of me. So if you have any questions, you're screwed because he says I'm done. Bye. Thanks.
That's awesome.
Thank you. If I can't educate, I want to at least entertain.
Yeah. All right, I think he's going to need some help down.
I'm fine.
Water.